Power is never given, it's taken. That's quite the opening line, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not just a tagline, it's pretty much the core philosophy of this new book that, well, we found fascinating.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Today we're getting into L. Llorente's Pawn to King. It's a new book just out in 2025.
And you might also see it under its original Spanish title, Animal Politico, which I think gives another layer, right? A hint of something raw.
Definitely. I mean, you hear political animal, you might think Aristotle, humans being social. But Llorente seems to twist that. It feels more fundamental, maybe even amoral.
Yeah, like it's tapping into a more primal instinct behind power. So it's a very specific tone from page 1.
It really does.
So our mission today for this deep dive is really to give you a feel for the book's, let's say, unique strengths. We want to touch on its unflinching look at ambition, why it's generating buzz.
But crucially, without spoiling any plot points or, how things turn out.
Exactly. We just want to highlight what makes it so compelling so you can go into it fresh if you decide to pick it up.
And if you've ever wondered about, well, the real nature of influence or the quiet forces shaping things.
Or maybe the psychology of people who just seem to navigate power so effortlessly, then yeah, this discussion is definitely for you.
Think of it as a shortcut to understanding a perspective that doesn't often get voiced so directly.
Right. So let's dig into those strengths.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that jumps out immediately is how the book lays its cards on the table, philosophically speaking, right there in the prologue.
Absolutely. It makes it clear this isn't your typical story arc. The core idea, as the book puts it, is that power isn't really an ethical thing or something benevolent. It's described as innate, almost visceral.
Visceral, yeah. And it draws a sharp line. What was the phrasing?
It distinguishes those who kneel from those who take the throne. Pretty stark.
That is stark. And it kind of pushes back against the usual narratives of leadership, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The ones about service or duty.
Right. Does the book basically say those are just like window dressing? That real power doesn't care about morality?
That's definitely the implication. The text says those who command, they have no need to persuade. The idea seems to be that the ethical story, the narrative of choice, that's mostly for the flock, as the book calls them. So they believe they chose their leaders, their path.
Okay, so it reframes that whole leader-follower thing, suggesting true power works on a level where consent is maybe an illusion.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Power is presented as something used to perpetuate dominion. Rulers seize the narrative, they get to redefine what counts as just.
It's a very clinical view, almost cold.
Yeah.
Strips away the sentimentality we often attach to power.
And then there's the portrayal of the people who wield this power. This is where it gets, well, kind of chilling.
Yeah, what does it call them? Crownless kings, godless prophets.
Presidents of silence.
Mm-hmm.
And they're described as creatures who learn to reign from the shadows.
With the patience of clocks and the cold precision of scalpels.
Yeah. And the line that really stays with you, they are not heroes, nor are they villains. They are inevitable. That philosophical stance just sets such a unique, almost unsettling tone.
Inevitable. That's a heavy word. Does the book offer any way out, any hope against this? Or is it just saying, this is how it is, a kind of fatalism?
Well, it doesn't really offer easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's part of its impact, part of the warning it presents. It's more about dissecting the mechanism, laying it bare.
So it leaves you, the reader, to grapple with it.
Exactly. It prompts that question. What if the power we see is just the surface layer? What if the real levers are pulled differently on this more primal level?
It makes you reconsider things, doesn't it? How influence actually works.
For sure. It's definitely not a feel-good read in that sense, but it's incredibly thought-provoking. It forces you to look at leadership and authority through a different, maybe darker lens.
And that philosophical groundwork really paves the way for the main character, Martín Escolar.
Right. Because he seems to be the embodiment of this philosophy. He doesn't seem to chase power like others might.
No, it's more like he just understands it, intrinsically, from the start.
Yeah, the book says, from childhood, he simply understood that the world was his.
And that the others, parents, teachers, lovers, judges, believers, were scenery, obedience in disguise, human material.
I mean, what an introduction to a character, human material.
It's startling, isn't it? And as you get deeper into his mindset, the book reveals this unique, almost cynical wisdom he has, even as a kid.
Like his view on honesty.
Exactly, that honesty was a luxury reserved for the poor and the naive.
Wow.
And his mantra, it isn't about waiting for fortune, it's about making fortune wait for you. These aren't just cool lines. They show his whole strategic outlook. The world is a system he needs to figure out and, well, manipulate.
It's almost disturbing how naturally he seems to operate.
Yeah.
And the book points to school as his first laboratory of power.
Right. While other kids are, just being kids, he's analyzing classmates.
Like pieces on a chessboard. The book uses that metaphor, an elaborate social chessboard. He's learning the rules, not to play the game, but to master it.
Precisely. And he figures out early on that obedience is not imposed, it is negotiated.
That's a key insight. It's not about force, but understanding what makes people tick, their weaknesses.
Yeah, and he discovers that fear is a more efficient instrument than admiration. And maybe most profoundly, that intelligence dressed in silence governs without raising its voice.
So he wasn't just smart, he was strategic. Even then, the book calls him a premature adult.
A premature adult, that sums it up perfectly. It shows this deep, almost unnerving grasp of psychology and social maneuvering from way too young.
But does the book suggest where that comes from? Is it purely innate in him, this understanding? Or is it something he learned, something about his environment?
That's one of the interesting things. It kind of leaves a bit of ambiguity there for you to think about. It stresses an innate quality in Martin, definitely. But his experiences, especially at school, they clearly sharpen his skills, solidify his methods. It's like a mix, the raw talent honed by observation and practice.
Right. Nature and nurture, in a way.
You could say that. And what's really fascinating, maybe even unsettling, is how compelling Martin becomes. His brilliance is undeniable, even if it's completely amoral.
You find yourself drawn into his logic almost.
Yeah, you start thinking, okay, how does he see this situation? It's a chilling lesson in ambition, and it definitely makes you look harder at the motivations of powerful people you encounter or read about.
And the way Llorente writes all this.
Yeah.
That's another major strength, wouldn't you say? The narrative style itself.
Oh, absolutely. Masterfully done. The prose is just captivating. Those metaphors you mentioned, the chessboard, the classroom as a theater where Martin wrote the script.
They're not just decoration, are they? They actually force you into his detached strategic viewpoint.
Yeah.
You start seeing the world through his eyes.
Exactly. It's intellectually engaging, but also, a little bit terrifying, like you said.
The book keeps returning to this idea of power as an art.
Power is not an accident, it is an art. And very early on, he had decided to become its finest disciple. That theme runs right through.
And we get glimpses into his thinking, like through his internal monologues or that private notebook mentioned.
Right. Without giving plot away, those moments are key. Like when he writes, "I am fire." Everyone praises the warmth, but no one survives the embrace.
Oof. That's intense.
It is, but it's such a powerful insight into how he sees himself as this fundamental force, maybe even dangerous. The language itself really immerses you in his psychology. It makes his perspective feel, well, almost inevitable, echoing that earlier point.
Which loops back to why this isn't just a novel. It feels more like that warning we talked about.
Yeah.
About the hidden ways power operates.
Yeah, the precision of the writing, the sharp observations, the psychological depth. It really makes you rethink things like leadership, loyalty, maybe the compromises people make for greatness.
You start thinking about unseen forces, not just in politics, but maybe in business or even personal dynamics.
Totally. The narrative style isn't just about telling a story from A to B. It's more about giving you this framework for understanding why people act the way they do when power is involved.
It's a deep dive into ambition, really, but written with this literary quality that makes even the uncomfortable truths feel profound.
Yeah, Llorente has built a character and a world that really sticks with you, prompts you to question what you thought you knew about influence.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap things up here, El Llorente's Pawn to King is this really gripping, definitely thought-provoking look at power and ambition.
Yeah, seen through this unforgettable character, Martín Escolar, it blends that deep philosophical angle with a really engaging strategic narrative.
It gives you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to understanding a perspective on influence that, frankly, isn't often laid out so bare.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with, something the book implies quite strongly. It doesn't offer easy justice or redemption, just these warnings.
Right. It leaves you with that chilling idea, while most people are busy with hope and democratic fictions, as the book puts it.
Someone like Martin, somewhere, is likely already deciding which way your future will tilt.
Without your knowing, without your being able to stop it, without it mattering.
Yeah. Powerful stuff.
It really is. So if you're ready for a read that will challenge how you see things, something that will stick with you,
then Pawn to King is definitely one to check out. Essential reading, maybe?
it will absolutely make you look at the world and the quiet forces shaping it very, very differently.